Hey everybody, it's Anthony from XL Robots TV, and I hope you guys all had a nice, happy holiday season, and hopefully everybody's going to have a great new year. And today I want to bring to you some information on the Easy Builder program. Now you guys probably hear me constantly talking about Easy Robot this, Easy Robot that, and I want to show you why I keep talking about that product, because I've tried a lot of different types of controllers, even Arduinos. I've tried just straight RC connections, computer control, all that kind of stuff. And either you have to have a PhD in robotics, or you have to have extreme patience, or you have to have a book about 1,000 pages next to you to always refer to things to be done. Now, the Easy Robot platform, just like the name states, it's very easy yet extremely powerful. A lot of people get misled by hearing the name. They think that it doesn't have the power to compete with other robotic platforms, but in my opinion, I think it surpasses the majority of the programs that are available out there today. And because of that is why I'm here now giving you this video. With the BB-8 project, especially now that I've changed gears around after majority of everybody gets into doing the dome, and they get all concentrated on doing the dome, and the dome is basically the most simplistic part of the whole project. Our major task is dealing now with the mobility of the base, the ball, the sphere, the ever famous hamster, and there are many different types now of ideas coming out on how to control that ball and how to make it move. You have your hamster drive. I've seen omni drives, the axle drive. I've seen pendulum drives. I've seen people just saying the hell with it and throwing a remote control car inside. The thing is, when you get down to brass tacks, this robot is supposed to represent the future of robotics in the Star Wars universe. So, in all kidding aside, people keep saying R2-D2, R2-D2, but it looks like BB-8 is the more sophisticated droid. I'm pretty sure that between the two of them in a race, BB-8 is going to kick butt. R2-D2 has a lot of, things that hold him back, as with BB-8, he doesn't have that. Apparently, in the movie, you've seen that he has a lot of versatility. And we have to give him that versatility with a controller that can do the things you want to do and not be limited to just a simple forward and back motion and a twisting of the head. Now, a lot of people worry about the wobbling and all that other stuff, and the Easy Robot will take care of 90% of that headache. The other 10% is going to be exploration. We'll find out from trial and error what things we need to do to tweak. But as an overall project, you can't go wrong with having the Easy Robot platform from the beginning to make sure that it covers all your bases when you're designing this platform. Now, the program itself is very straightforward, which I'm going to show you now. Not all of you seen that the Easy Robot controller, which I'll be showing a picture shortly, is basically a small little, looks almost to be between 3.5 to 4 inches square. Doesn't take a lot of room. Runs on a minimal voltage of 5. Can be up to any amount of voltage up to, I believe, 24. It has an onboard regulator that limits the amount of power that's coming out on certain items. Like a pulse wave modulator limits it to 3 volts, so this way you can run your LEDs off of it and not have any problems of things popping. And it's Wi-Fi driven, so it can communicate easily with your phone or your computer, and also you can have it set where you don't have to worry about distance from point to point, because it has a good range, as opposed to the earlier model, which was Bluetooth reliant. You didn't have that much of a range on it, and you always had disconnects. So the Wi-Fi has been a huge improvement on the project. So now, when you have it set up and you have it plugged in and ready to go, the minute you turn it on, you're going to hear a little chime, and then it starts to broadcast its Wi-Fi signal. Then what you would do on your computer or on your cell phone device, depending if you're running it from the app or you're running it from the desktop, you just go in here and you would look for it. It'll show up as EasyB and then its number. you would select it. Once it's selected, you come over here, and since we're starting with the first controller, it would be under the number 0. Excuse me. And then you would just hit connect, and you would hear a chime again, and you're connected. Now, to set everything up, you would go into your project, and this is where all the fun begins. So when you go to add, you have your general, think of these as plugins. So you have your general set of plugins here, like if you wanted to, say, keep track of the voltage and the temperature of your robot, I would add this. So when you click on it, you can see right now, if I was connected to the Easy Robot, it would be displaying the CPU temperature of the device and also the input voltage that's coming directly from the battery source. Then you have other things to help you with, you have your servers, you have your terminals, your TCP connections, and all your other little fun stuff right here. Then you have your ADC graphing, meters and value, little widgets. And then we go to audio. Now, for BB-8, what we want to do is basically have him talking a storm and making all the little noises that he does in the movie, and whatever else he's been doing that we don't know yet as we read into it down the line as the character develops. But with the function of a soundboard, you can have the sound coming directly out of the Easy Beat controller, or you can have it coming out of your PC. For this demonstration, I'm going to have it coming out of the PC. But when you have it coming out of the soundboard, what's good about it is a hack where you can just connect 2 wires to the main circuit board of the EasyB, and you can connect an external speaker, like an amplified speaker, so you get more dynamic, rich sound. The onboard wafer style speaker doesn't have that much pizzazz to it. It does its job, but not for something in production value that we want to do to give the authenticity of the movie robot. So I would suggest doing that hack, which I'll show down the line on another video on how to do that. So let's select the soundboard for this demonstration. And the soundboard is very simple. You have your little widget over here. Now, this is basically all your function buttons. So when you click on the little sprocket, it'll bring you to whatever you need to address. So I'm going to call this BB-8 sounds. Okay, and so there we go. BB-8 sounds for this sound right here. And now we're going to start adding sounds. So let's say the first sound we're going to add is for him to say no. So we're going to look down here and look for no. There's no. Double click on it. And then when you hit play, you'll hear it. Okay, now again, it's coming out of my PC speaker, but if you were connected, if you had it set up for the EasyB, it would come out of the EasyB. And it gives each sound that you give a number. So this one's going to start at 0. Let's add one more. Now you can choose between wave audio and MP3s. Mostly everything I have is MP3s. So the next one we'll do is yes. Okay, so we hit open, brings it over. Now it's addressed with the number 1. Hit play, and that's the sound we have for the yes. Okay. So now, what else can we add now? We have some sounds. We can add as many as we want to this. Let's see what else we can add. Let's see. We have speech recognition. We have sound servos, which sound servo is basically the servo movement according to the amplification of sound that it receives. So almost like how would I say, like a clapper. Like if you clap, it will turn something on and off depending on the sound modulation. So it's basically the same thing as this, but it's in different variants in volume to make it move. If you had maybe a robot that had a mouth open and closed, as it's listening to the text or speech coming out of the speaker, it would go by the different values and open and close at different ranges. And the same thing with the talk servo does it exactly for that. But the movement servo is basically built around that same principle. So what we're going to do is going to bring speech recognition, because we want the robot to talk to us and respond, and that'll give it more of a realistic appearance, as opposed to us just standing there with a remote control in front of us and playing with our big toy. So again, we go on to the little sprocket that brings on the our little control panel here, and basically it has a lot that are set up already, like forward, reverse, left, and right, and stop, and then you have basically your on and off for speech recognition. We're going to add a new one here, and we're going to do something. Basically, we're going to ask whatever you type is what he's going to hear. So BB-8, do you like Kylo Ren? Okay, and then what you would do is you would go now to the command and hit the little pencil, and it brings up your little script editor, which you're going to be using this a lot. And not to get you afraid of anything here and thinking now you're going to have to start doing coding, I'll show you how simple it is. Script help basically shows you all the functions, definitions, and examples of how they're used. Port summary will be like giving you the details of the menu of your port connections. Cheat sheet is what we're going to be using. Console and variables. Okay, so let's go to cheat sheet. Now with the cheat sheet, basically everything that you have opened on your project, whatever we've added, will be here, and because it's here, it's easy for you to bring it into your scripting. Now what you do with the scripting is basically for the sounds, let's say we want it to say no. So if you click on this one here, track 0 for no, it brings it on over automatically. And then we'll say save, and save again. And wait a second, okay, it's there. So now we're going to ask the question. Now, what was the question? If we forget or we need a little bit of help with hints, you can have the whole listing of all the phrases and questions listed right here. So, excuse me, we have BB-8, do you like Hunter? Okay, so we're going to repeat that to him. See, he's very good. He heard me right off the bat. So I'll ask him again. BB-8, do you like Kylo Ren? Okay, so there you go. The response was very evident that he likes it. Okay, so now let's say we want to add something else, so it's not just that one. So we'll go back and we're going to say BB-8, do you love Ray? Now Ray, I'm spelling it this way because the program reads it more phonetically, so it's easier this way for it to understand. I'm going to go now back to the pencil, go over to my cheat sheet, and I'm going to look for yes, which is track 1. I'm going to click on it. Everything is brought over. Save and save. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to ask him, BB-8, do you love Ray? And there you go. Now you hear him with the yes. So adding speech recognition was easiest, what was it, 2 minutes, 3 minutes tops? Did I have to do any crazy coding or anything like that? Boom, 1, 2, 3, drag and drop. That's how easy it is. Okay? For something like this, if you wanted to do this in Arduino, you're going to have to go get that manual out, put a fresh pot of coffee on, and make sure that you ain't got to go nowhere for the next couple of hours. Okay? I might be exaggerating a little bit, but I don't think so. So next, let's see what else we're going to add. So we did that for the sound. We have our sound set up and everything. Now, you also have the ability to add a camera. I don't know how many of you are adding a camera to yours. I'm adding one to mine. The camera that comes with the Easy Robot controller is a small piece. It's not encased in anything, so you can basically mount it anywhere you want in your project, but it's small enough to fit right into the PSI port in the front of the dome. So that's where I'm going to have that set up. And what's cool about it is I'm going to have a ring of clear clear filament that's going to be around the actual lens of the camera, behind the focal point so you don't see it, and that'll light up and give the illusion of the lights blinking and everything just like it did in the movie, and not take away from anything, but adding the gift of sight. Now when you add the camera, it also connects the same way through the Wi-Fi and through the B4, but you have excellent add-ons. You have tracking. So basically, you can train him to track colors, faces, motion, glyphs, QR coding, specific objects, multicolors. For instance, let's say you have the color red on, and you train him for red. He'll follow everything that has red. So if you stand in front of him with a red shirt, or you're holding something red, you can tell him to follow the red, and he'll follow you all around. You know, that's what's cool about it. Or he can recognize you if you set it up where you train the face to be yours, and when he sees your face, he'll recognize who you are, and he'll address you in a certain way. You know, different type of beeping or bopping or what have you. So that's what we would do with the camera. Now the camera I'm not going to use any longer. I just wanted to show you the ability to use. I'm going to take it out of the screen so it doesn't block what we're doing. And we're going to continue down the add-on. Now you have digital, which is your digital readouts and signal settings, graphing, H-bridge. Now H-bridge is something that we're going to be using because a lot of us are going to be switching to DC motors and using DC motors to drive the unit itself. Now for my axle build, I'm using 2 DC motors, one on each end, and working in opposite directions, opposite polarities, in other words, to give the momentum force of forward and reverse. So you would use, I'm using, for mine, since they're under 12 volts, I'm using a H-bridge. You can also use a saber tooth for anything from 12 volts to 25 volts, depending on the motors you have. I mean, I have saber tooth movement panels set up with my other robots that use like 24 volts. But for this thing, I don't need 24 volts because I'm not using like wheelchair motors. I'm using regular DC motors. So I would add this. Now when you go to add your H-bridge, you have your basic movement panel, which would be forward, back, left, and right. And it's basically like a tank drive. So since I have the 2 motors and they hook up to my H-bridge, the H-bridge is going to have 4 wires that come out that are going to be attached to your EZB controller. And you're going to basically want to set it up with 4 that, you know, connect to each other. It's like anything from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, like that. You're not going to put like D1, D9, D12, D13 or something like that because it just doesn't make sense. But let's say D1 through 4 is taken by something else. You have to put started with D5. You would just click on the first one here, and this is your EZB controller. This is how it looks. Very nice and clean. Your cameras plug into these ports in the front here, and then all these are your digital connectors over here. And say now that 1 through 4 is taken, so we'll start with 5. You would just click on it, close, and now it's registered. So the left A trigger should be plugged into 5, and the computer will find it. The EZB will be all set to go, and you change the numbers accordingly. Then when you hit forward, reverse, or whatever, the controller will receive that information and apply voltage and have the DC motors work in the position that it's supposed to. Okay. Next, we would have the I2C. You have like a blink module here. You have an IR receiver. You have a dual axis compass, a straight compass. You have Adafruit's digital animator. I use these for my BB-8 head, my Chappie head for the eyes because they were perfect to look just like the eyes in the movie. You have your accelerometer, or you have an accelerometer, gyro, temperature control all in one. Another RGB animator. Another type of gyro, temperature, and compass. I mean, so you have a lot of extra things to add to the device, and the gyro is a big plus now that we'll be using down the line to add stability to our BB-8 project. And then you have your infrared and IR collision controls here, so this way you can put sensors and have them not bump into things. Then you have your miscellaneous. You can add a GPS. You can actually design a floor map of say your house, how everything is set up, and then you can train him to avoid obstacles without using any specific type of avoidance sensors. If he had a LCD display, you can have certain types of videos and stuff pop up at certain times during his scripting. You can control him by a Wii controller. You can control him by a joystick. You can use the new Mayo muscle controller. So there's a lot of versatility to this software. The next thing, which is my favorite, is the interface builder, which is basically helping you design your own personal apps. Now, to do an app, you're either going to have to really know what you're doing in coding, because you know, to put something up, you're gonna really know it, really know what you're doing, or it's going to be a flop, or it's going to be one of those, you know, crappy online things that, oh yeah, build your own app, and it's basically just small little pages that are moving back and forth. But with this, you can actually add things that are going to look polished and complete when you finish with your app, and I'm going to show you now. So by just clicking on this, it's going to bring you up to our little display. And what I'll do is actually, since no, I don't want to merge it right now. I'll do it down the line. Okay. What we're going to do here is we're going to show you the basics of setting up an app. So when you click on your little sprocket, it's going to bring you up to your little workstation here, and you're going to start doing your settings. Say we want to do a background, something cool. You can design something you want. Basically, it's between 800 to 480 is your range of pixel size there. They have some built-in ones here, like if you're using the 6 robot or a generic template, Revolution logo, I mean, whatever you want. But we're going to use the Revolution to give you an idea of how things work. So let's say I want to add the camera. We have a camera, right? So we're going to add the camera. You would drag this over here, and I want it to fit into this box at the best as possible. Now, it's kind of big, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of squeeze it down a little bit. 295 and 160. Okay, now it should fit in that box nicely. So now when I'm running the app and the camera is sending the signal back to the device, this is where I want to be able to view what's on that camera. I mean, you can make the camera to be the whole width of your app, because your apps are not just this one screen. You can create buttons that advance to as many screens as you want. I mean, my apps have close to 20 to 30 pages in each one. So if I wanted to say go to you know, I wanted to see the camera but in full screen, I can have a button here saying camera view, click on it, it'll take me to the next page, and it'll be the whole camera. So that's what's cool about this. It's very powerful, and you can customize it any way you want. Then you would add buttons. So I want to put a forward button, I want to put a reverse button. You can do side buttons, but I'll just use these two for now. When you get your button, you have to basically assign it. So when you have your button and you're happy with the graphic that it gives you, plus they give you a library too. If I wanted to change it, I don't like the way it looks, they give you these little different ones here that you can add. Let's say I want to do this one instead. So now you have this little circle. You can go over here and change it. You can make it let's see, 85 by 85, and that fits a little bit better. But you get the idea of what I'm trying to say here. So you can customize whichever way you want. Then you would go here to the editor. Now this is where the fun begins. Already it has the generic forward setup, and basically if you were using a servo and you wanted the servos to move or the engine to move, you would address them individually. But for now we'll leave it like this, because basically that's set. Forward, it'll know that the H bridge is connected, and you know which ports have triggers A, B for left and right, and you're ready to go. Then you have things where you can add in your app as well, the temperature. You can add the voltage. You can add a custom image button. Now what the custom image button is, you can basically draw your own images of, you know, you can design your own cool buttons and import them and bring them in here, any sizes you want. You have you have sliders, so you can have a sliding option. Okay, so you can slide this back and forth if you're moving something side to side or up and down. Then you have a servo slider, does the same thing, the servos back and forth. And basically, like for the servo, you would come here, you would address where the servo was connected, say it's on D7 and on D7, and then you put your values, and you would also put if it's going to be horizontal or verticals. You can have it either way, up and down or side to side, and your button is ready to go. And that's basically just the basic setup for doing your app. And then when you're done, you would hit save. And now when you load this up into your phone or your tablet, this is going to be what you're going to see on the screen. And this is how you're going to control your robot, all touchscreen. Okay, so I'm just going to close this for right now because we're not going to need this at the moment. And I want to continue showing you more of the options that you have here. Prophytes Modulation. Okay, this is a plus for us because we want to add lights, right? We want to have blinky lights and all different types of sequences. And you've seen my BB-8 head where it has different sequences for the lighting. It's all done through Prophytes Modulation. Basically, you're going to be powering off the EZB for the 3 volts that it provides. And the way you connect your LEDs is for the positive and negative is the positive is going to be the white wire on your servo wire out of the 3, and your negative is going to be the negative. The wire you're not going to be using is going to be the red positive wire because it's going to get its juice from the pulses that are going to come out of the logic, which is the white. So there's no use for the red. You could just snip it off. Then when you plug it in, it'll operate the same way, positive and negative between the two. And with the Prophytes Modulation, in off position, which is 0, again, it would be off. There'd be no light. And then if you pop it up to 100, which would be over here, which would say on, it won't do it now because I don't have nothing connected, it would be on. And if you put it in the middle, it would be half lit, and under 50, of course, would be dimmer, and brighter above 50. And what this does is it gives you such an awesome setup for doing the lighting the way you want. You control the PVM through scripting, which I'm going to be coming up to shortly. And you can have, like, say, for instance, when you told him the thing about Kylo Ren, when he says no, you can have the lights blinking in different types of patterns to simulate him, saying no. And this is all done through the Prophytes Modulator. And you can add as many as you want. You can have 5, 6, 7 lights off of one port, or you can have each different port addressed to do a different function. So this way there's a less uniform way of lighting, and it gives it a more erratic pattern type of setup. So now for that, we will be going into scripting, which is my favorite part here, and we'll use a generic script. There's many different styles of scripting, but the most commonly used is the Easy Script, and we're going to hit that one for this demo. And when you bring it over, again, it's just addressed as script. We're going to call it Kylo No. So I'll come over here, and we will write Kylo No. And first thing I want to happen is I want him to say, I want the voice to start to say no. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your little cheat sheet over here that displays everything that's in your program, like I said. And you're going to go down here to where it says script. Now it says script because I don't have script names yet because I haven't saved this part with the name. So when I save it, this is going to say Kylo No over here. Okay, so the first thing I want him to do is talk. So I'm going to go to BB-8 Sounds, and I want him to say no. So I'm going to click 0. It goes right away there. Then I'm going to hit enter to the next line. Now I want the lights to go on and off. I'm just going to show a simple on and off, but you can add any types of patterns you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to address the Prophytes Modulator. And we're going to assume that when I set it up that the LED is plugged into D9. And when it's in D9, to start off with, I want it to go all the way to 100, which I want it to turn on. Now, if you want to add like a pause or a break between each function, you would use the command sleep. Now, what sleep does is it will add a pause or a wait in the measurements of milliseconds. So if I go to sleep for 1,000 milliseconds, that's going to equal 1 second. So for 1 second, it's going to pause, and then I want the Prophytes Modulator to bring the light down to 50%, and then I want it to sleep again for another second, and then I want the light to go bright again. And we 99, and then 100. Okay. Now, what's also cool is, say I want this to happen about, since we're talking milliseconds, say I want the light to blink at least 4 seconds or so. What I can do is I can highlight the command, right-click, copy, go to the next line, and then just hit Control-V a couple of times. And now it's going to go through this whole segment. So the way this is set here, it's going to say what it's saying, and then the light's going to blink on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off, and then finally, at the end, I'm going to tell it that I want it to be off. So I'm going to say sleep, and I'll just say 300 milliseconds, and then I'm going to say pulse wave modulator D9 0, and then it'll end with being off. Okay, and then I'm going to hit save. Now, another cool thing about scripting is if, and this program altogether, is if you do something wrong, that's going to tell you. So this way, you don't have to sit there and worry, oh, what happened this. So say I'll go over here and I'll put the letter D there. Okay? And I'm going to say, not even seeing the D, I'm going to hit save. Okay? Now, when I go to start it, let's see, oh, wait, it didn't even register, did it? I'm sorry. There we go. Alright, now let's hit save. Now, for some strange reason, it should have picked that up right off the bat. Oh, here you go. See it right here. It's going to tell you that I have an error on line 2, and it was not connected. So, in other words, the lighting would not work from that point on of line 2 on. So, I'm going to say, why are my lights working? So, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to try to see where my error was. And apparently, there it is. And take it out, hit save, now start again. Okay, everything was done correctly. There was no error. Okay, and now it's also telling me though that my PWM is not connected as well. So this way we know that maybe if I have a wire that's not in or what have you, and why it's not lighting, we'll know for that situation as well. We'll go to check line 2. That's where I should have checked first, and it's assuming that right now that D9 is not connected. Just to fix that real quick, I'm going to go here and I'm going to just add D9, and let's see now if it picks that up. And still telling me that nothing is connected. Okay, because it knows that we're not connected here. So there's a lot of safety nets that will stop you from sitting there all night trying to figure out, oh, well, why this is not working. You just look at the screen here and you're going to know right away that, oh, this is where my mistake is. Okay, so that's what's cool about this. It's not something that's going to let you just hang there and try to figure it out all night. The troubleshooting is instantaneous. The minute there's a problem, you're going to know about it. All right. And so anyway, so let's just say now that I had it set up, when I go to say his phrase BB8, I forgot what I said. I'm gonna go back here. So I'm gonna ask him about, do you like Kylo Ren? Okay. So BB8, do you like Kylo Ren? Okay. So there you go. He's gonna tell me no, and then of course here it's gonna validate that the fact that we're not connected live to the EZB, so the lighting segments will not work. Okay, but you can see how the scripting is working, and you can add as many things you can have. You can have him moving around at the same time. You can add movement panels all to the script. It's very simple because everything that's in your system that you can use is right here. Okay, so you see now you see where it says Kylo no. Okay, so very simple stuff. What else is there to add? You have your servo controls, so you can control continuous servos. You can have a continuous servo set up with a movement panel, much like the way the H-bridge movement panel was, with the forward, back, side to side. You have your regular servos with the horizontal servos, which is between 1 and 180 in the range of motion, which 90 being the center point. Then you have your servo speed, so you can adjust the speed in which the servos move. Sound servos, again, these react to sound, and depending on the decibel of the sound, it would increase or decrease the movement of the servo. And then you have vertical servos. which you control up and down, and of course the horizontals will be left to right. Next, you have third-party robots, where if you have these kind of robots like a Sphero or a Wow Emit or any of these guys or a Roomba, you can control these as well through the Easy Builder software without even having an Easy Robot. So you basically, the software is free, and if you have a Sphero, you could design your own personal app and control your Sphero using Easy Builder free of charge. You know, that's what's cool about the company. It's an open source, and they share the wealth. In other words, they let people see firsthand with their own stuff, and then of course they jump and grab the controller like it was going out of style. Then you have your touchpad. Touchpad is if you're using a tablet, you can have, just by moving your finger here, move things around. This basically works off of an X and Y axis. So say you have two servos doing a pan and tilt of a head. You can set the X axis to D10, and you can set the Y axis to D11 and set your values, and then when you move it up, the head's going to go up and down, and then you go this way, the head will move side to side. I always use this because it's a much easier way than using the levers up and down, plus you're only using one control at a time. With this one, you can actually give more cool motion and better puppetry. And that's basically all the good stuff that we have here. There's many other things that you can add, but this is just a basic rundown of how simple it is to use this. The other thing too is when you're ready to load things, ready to finish what you're doing, you can upgrade everything to the cloud. Now, when you load your stuff to the cloud, then you have access to using it on your phone or Android device, iOS device, tablet, or what have you. On file, this is basically saving hard copies to your actual computer for later fixing up and so forth. But now what I want to do is I'll show you something real quick. So if we go up to open my files, and I'm going to open up the BB-8 one real quick here so I can show you. And let's see which is the best BB-8. Let's see, this one has 149. Alright, we're going to open the, let's see, I want to give you one that has the most animations so you can see what I'm talking about when I say you can control your robot with ease with this setup. Well, let's see. I think I'm just going to open this one for now. Okay, now when I was talking before about the control through your mobile device, these are all custom buttons that I have here. You can see here the pictures. I have some blanks, which are clear PNG files that I use so you don't see them. So basically the clear is over this backdrop, and then my clear buttons go over where I want the pressure points to be, and then I have the running image, which is the depressed image, will pop up. And the way that looks is if I'm touching here, see how they light up, and that's how it would work. I think I have this one set up on that side. So that's how that would work. And when you save it now and I load this up, you would tell basically which one you want to open. And I have this to be my start button. So when you first open the app on your Android device or your iOS device, this would be your first screen that comes up, and it'll be the only screen the way you see it here. And you would touch this, it would make the sound, the noise, light up, and then this would be your next screen that comes up. And that's what's cool about this program, where you can make these really cool apps. For my other robots, like my XLR robot, I have some crazy stuff. Here's another version though of the BB-8 real quick. I'll show you. And just to give you an idea, another one that starts with just by touching it, and his image comes up. We have auto mode. I believe this one here is again your controls forward and reverse, stop, and then these work as well. Now you see how they have a little overage there, the squares. That's only here on this view. When it's running the actual app, you don't see any of that. All the transparencies and everything come into effect. The transparencies don't work here. Then here we have like a soundboard where I have all these buttons set up with sound effects. Then over here I have like the auto mode, motion control, recon, FX, and so forth. I mean, multiple different screens. This one, recon, the camera would show up here, and you can move them around with the camera. So you can say you left your BB-8 at home, he's on. Dial into your server and through your computer, and the way you have it set up, you can tap right into your BB-8 and have him roam around the house, and you can see on your camera what's going on. So basically BB-8 will be patrolling and guarding your house. I mean, these are cool little things that you can do with the Easy Robot platform. And like, when I say easy, as you can see, very easy to do. Alright, so I just wanted you guys to get a look at how this works, and understand that when I keep talking about this, what I'm talking about. I love this system because it allows me to have more time on my hands to create and design, instead of sitting there having to deal with, you know, oh, how am I going to program this? How am I going to program that? Racking my brains out, do simple functions of lifting an arm or moving forward for 2 seconds or whatever, and I got to read a whole book on learning how to do that. Or I have to go buy so many different modules to add on, one to do Bluetooth, one to do this, one to run the lights, one to talk, one to... Everything is right there in the Easy Robot controller. 1, 2, 3, finish, done. You know, why do we look for more things to do when we don't have to? Just because it's easy doesn't make it wrong. So, let you guys take a look at this. I hope this helps. I'm going to do a much more in-depth coverage of this as my build progresses and as I add the Easy Robot in and everything like that, to show you guys how things are working. And that's basically it. Please remember to subscribe. You guys have been great so far. I am over the 300 mark, which was very pleasing to me. I'm looking to hit my first milestone, which is 1,000. So the more shares you do and the more word of mouth is great. I'll be putting a lot more content up and building the channel. And just remember to subscribe. And if you like it, hit me up down there with a like. If you didn't like it, I understand. Hit me with a no like. And that's it. The next videos that I'll be putting up are the one video for the contest winner, and the second one would be the follow-up to the BB-8 framing design. So this is Anthony from XL Robots TV, signing out.